as Hope said, my name is Jake VanKersen. I'm a video producer here at Morningstar. And I was hired here about 4 years ago now. And I was hired into our, essentially like the .com side of Morningstar. So like Morningstar.com, the videos that are on there, I do a lot of the shooting and editing and publishing of those. That will pay off later, so keep that just kind of in the forefront of your mind, like, ooh, that's a tease, that's going to pay off in the second act. So I am here, though, to talk, as I said, about harnessing the power of YouTube. And before I go into my experience with YouTube here at Morningstar, I do want to do this level setting on YouTube, because I know that we don't want to leave anyone behind, and even though this is a room full of marketers, it's always good to just make sure that we're on the same page. So YouTube is something that we probably all use all the time. And our first exposure to it was probably like sometime around 2005 with that Lazy Sunday Saturday Night Live video that we watched 3 or 4 times and had to email because like Facebook and Twitter weren't quite around. But obviously it's grown since there. So what is YouTube now? Well, when Pew Research did a survey to find out what adults are using YouTube for, they found that 51% are figuring out how to do things they haven't done before. So those are your tutorials, your how-to videos, you know, recipes, fixing things, all kinds of learning videos that people are going to. 28% are passing the time. They're watching, you know, sketches from Saturday Night Live, late night TV, music, because YouTube has become like one of the premier places to listen to music, even though it's with video. So just entertaining themselves. 19% are using it to decide whether or not to buy a particular product or not. So that's particularly interesting to us, right? Because we are all here because we're trying to sell something, whether it be a product or a service. So 19% of adults are going down there to research something that they intend to buy. And then 19% is understanding things happening in the world, news and whatnot. So what we see from here is that YouTube is more than just a video hosting site now. There's some places that cite that is the second largest search engine behind Google. So it's obviously essentially a public square. And if we are marketing, we want to be where the people are, right? Kind of like Ariel. That's in my head because I have 2 daughters that are watching my Little Mermaid lately. So that was not in my next. Oh, my mic is off. So don't mind the guy who's doing this. So how did I go from .com to Morningstar's YouTube page? Told you this was going to pay off. Well, as you were coming from lunch, you probably saw that there was a studio just in the next room over. That's where we do all of our like live studio videos like that, live to tape technically. And I was finishing up shooting a video, turning off the lights, and as I walk out, this guy who does not work at Morningstar was here for a conference like this, and he came up to me and said, "Is that the place where Christine Benz shoots her videos?" Christine is this woman right here, who is a retirement planning expert. And I said, yes. And I also was trying to figure out what was going on, because in all my time I had never been asked that question here. But I was like, yeah, this is where she does it. He's like, oh man, I watch her videos all the time. Can everyone hear me? I don't think this is doing a lot of heavy lifting. I watch Christine's videos, he says, when I'm on the treadmill at home. And you know, before this, Morningstar had been putting videos on YouTube just as they seemed like things that we would want to highlight. So a lot of conference stuff, a lot of special like interviews with people like Jack Bogle, who founded Vanguard. But we weren't consistently posting. Yet this guy was using YouTube to watch videos with Christine that he incorporated into his everyday activity, which was running on the treadmill. So I realized that that means that there is an audience out there that wants Morningstar videos and they want to see them where they are going to watch them, not necessarily on our .com page. So I thought about this for a while, and as I mentioned before, I was doing a lot of the shooting, editing, and producing of the videos. So I was sort of in this place where I was basically touching every video that was going to be published on .com anyway, so I would have a sense of what was coming up on the editorial schedule, and I could sort of highlight which ones would be great for our YouTube page based on, what was doing well on editorial. I guess that it was kind of the same audience. So I asked, does anyone mind if I start doing this on a regular basis? And which is the case with a lot of big companies. If you say, hey, can I do something that no one else is doing, and you just start doing it right away, is that okay? They say yes. Like up the chain, everybody was on board with it. So I got to work. And the first thing I wanted to do was, we had sort of like a loose structure on the YouTube page, but I had done a little video marketing in a past job, so I wanted to make sure that when someone goes to the YouTube page for the first time, that they would be able to find what they would be likely to be looking for. So I took all the videos that we had on YouTube, and I sorted them based on their topic. And all this is very intuitive stuff, but it's when you do these things like just really lift off. So I'm going to jump ahead one. So right here you see, I basically took the best performing topics and organized them there so that people could find them when they were just investigating what's on YouTube. And this is something that YouTube likes that you do as well. It just makes it look like, and rather than like a scattered, messy table kind of thing, it looks like someone's really taking time to curate it. And I did one other thing too. I put at the very top of our page, I put the 10 most recent videos too, because those are the things that we would really want to get the views up for, because they hadn't lived there as long as everything else. And I usually keep that every few weeks. I go by and I just remove them, and so that they do seem kind of fresh as well. So playlist was the first thing, because I wanted to do the things that I knew that YouTube liked, which is combine up there in the top left corner or right corner for you guys, like putting in all your links and everything like that, taking advantage of what they have built out. The next thing I needed to do was set a schedule, because as I said before, we were just spontaneously uploading videos. But if you give your current audience videos in a timely manner, they'll be more likely to stick around on your YouTube page. This also makes it so other people are more likely to find your videos, right, as they're investigating. It also makes it so it's like another thing that YouTube likes, right? Like someone's really using their channel. Let's make sure that they're showing up in the algorithm when other people are looking up how to start a 529 college fund or something like that. They are going to see that we have a lot of views and deem us sort of good content for them to do. So you really want to make sure that you have a consistent stream of videos. Now, the trick is at Morningstar we do about 5 to 10 .com videos a week, right? That's a lot. I didn't want to push those all to YouTube, because when you subscribe to a magazine and you really like the first few issues, but then you hit this 1 week where you have a lot going on and you don't get to it, so you put it on your nightstand to read later, and the week does not slow down, and then the next week comes and the magazine's there again. You're like, great, but I didn't get to the other one. So it goes on your nightstand, and soon you have a stack of these magazines that you haven't read, and then you just unsubscribe to the magazine because it's becoming more of a burden than anything else. I didn't want that to happen with subscribers on YouTube. So I wanted to give a little breathing room between videos. I don't want to inundate our channel with videos, and I wanted something consistent. So if you were a subscriber and you had notifications, in your inbox you didn't get a notification that you had 15 videos every week. That's a lot, and it seems daunting. So I set Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and this was at the beginning. And again, I had a sense of what people liked, which was mutual funds, retirement, and stocks. And so I also wanted to highlight personalities like Christine Benz, who I mentioned before, or Russ Kinnell's well known in our audience circle. So I wanted to make sure that people could watch his videos. So I would flag those if I knew those were coming up. Also, I mean, Warren Buffett, if you're going to be like, hey, we'll show you how to invest like Warren Buffett, people are going to want to take a look at that. So if there was someone notable either in studio or that we were talking about, I want to make sure that I flag those. And then anytime you do anything that's 3 funds that you need to get, or 3 stocks that you want to stay away from, or 4 whatever, you bullet point something like that, people love it. And it makes sense because you're watching a pick and you're just getting the distilled information. So those are always videos that I try to highlight too. Yes.
So you interviewed Warren Buffett?
We did not. That's a file photo, as you can see, courtesy of the AP. But we have interviewed Jack Bogle a lot before he passed away from Vanguard. And whenever we put those videos on there, they're like outliers. They have like, 150,000 views in the first week where everything else is healthy, but he stands out. So the results of this. Sometime in January 2017, I started doing this. I think it was halfway through. Side note, as I just said, that's probably a Vogel video right there. I started to get involved in the YouTube page. And as you can see, just by setting up our YouTube channel so it looked organized, or more organized, and setting a consistent schedule, our YouTube views in that first year and a half jumped up to roughly double. I will pull back the curtain a little bit. The reason why I cut it off at the end of July is because after that we were running a pre-roll campaign for our premium service. And so if I did from January 2017 to now, there's like a huge unnatural bump because we were paying for it. And while you always want to make yourself look as best as you could, that would just be a flat out lie based on what I'm trying to do here. So this is all basically organic. We put it out there, people watched it. There was an audience that wanted to know more about Morningstar and what we had to offer as far as information. And because we were throwing videos into the public square, which is YouTube, people were responding and watching and interacting and sharing and everything and subscribing too. Like our subscribers jumped up in that time. Our watch time was 5.3 million views, everything. Like it just was by doing the things that YouTube likes and that being there when people were looking for us. So then, after a while, I decided to run this sort of like haphazard experiment. We had this podcast that you can find on iTunes called Investing Insights, and it's essentially a digest of that week's videos. And it runs about 20 to 30 minutes every week. And so we were editing that and putting that together for iTunes. And I realized basically we're doing this work and we had this video that was going to one place when we have YouTube here. And a lot of podcasts now are recording live and live streaming on YouTube too. So I was like, well, I don't know if anyone's going to sit for 30 minutes on a Saturday morning and watch a YouTube video, but let's see what happens. So I set it up on Friday and to publish on Saturday. I went home for the weekend, and when I came back on Monday, it had something crazy like 1,000 views. It was enough where I was like, that seems weird. And I went in and looked at it, and there it was. And what I learned was that this was a thing that our audience wanted, that if I would have just listened to myself, I wouldn't have published it. But because I didn't listen to myself and I put it on YouTube, it became something that the audience wanted, and every week it is consistently one of the better performing videos, and it can get as high as 40 minutes long, and people are watching, and they're dropping out and they're skipping through and everything, but it's something that people liked. Okay, so now with all of that, how do I just basically say that's how I did it? Goodbye. I want to give you a little insight if you're looking to start your YouTube page or wanting to boost it a little bit. And some of this is going to be what Katrina covered, because repetition is really important for remembering, because repetition is really good for remembering. So if you leave here, I want you to remember that repetition of this information is good for you remembering it. One is, if you want to really build out and bring on video producers and motion graphics and everything like that, you should, because you're going to get people that are committed to this, that can do this and really monitor this. But if you want to start out and do a test case and prove that video is good for your brand, you can do it yourself. This happens to be my coworker Isaac, who does a lot of our motion graphics. And you can use your phone. As chances are your phone at this point is as good as like a camera was like 3 or 4 years ago. You can watch tutorials on YouTube and be part of that number that is going to watch videos about how to edit, how to use whatever your phone is to get the best video that you can from it. If you have iMovie on your phone, which I think is now actually comes with the iPhones, it's very easy and intuitive to use, and you can just start putting together videos. And make sure the audio is good, because as Katrina said, it's just one of the bedrock things. Like, we forgive bad-looking pictures as an audience member, but we don't forgive bad audio. So if it looks pretty okay and sounds great, people will stick around with it. And then, if you're looking to get involved in doing more videos, I'd encourage you, what's your objective for each video? Not just for your page, but for each video too, because as a video producer and that used to do freelance stuff, people are like, I want this video and we're gonna use it in these 7 different ways. And I said, you'll be lucky if one of those ways catches on, because like videos really can't serve all those purposes, right? Like, it either has to be for brand awareness or showing your company culture. It can do a little overlapping, but it can't be everything for everyone. Otherwise, you're spending a lot of time making one video and then expecting it to do magic. So figure out what your objective is for each video. And then what can your video, like if you're looking to hire people, do a video on your company culture. Show people that your employees talking about what it's like to work at your company, because that's going to be better than any paragraph that you can write. If it is to highlight your company's non-for-profit work, sometimes volunteers, that helps your company culture, so you can sort of market in that bin. If you're starting from nothing and you have a service that you want to get to people, because honestly, if we don't have a product or service that we're offering people, then I don't know what you're selling or how you're staying in business, because you all have something. So like, I used to work for a company that did U.S. immigration. It was like TurboTax for U.S. immigration. So not thrilling content by any stretch of the imagination. And I had to start that YouTube channel from nothing. And so what I started doing was tutorials on the various U.S. visas, which tied in, like, people were already searching about what's a B2 visa, what are those qualifications. I put that in the tags and everything like that, sort of asked those SEO questions, and then people responded to it and they found us, and then they could then click on a link and go check out that company. So the short version of all this is YouTube is a great place for you to build your brand awareness, figure out what your audience wants, because I promise they want something from you. Consistent schedule will help you build that audience. Do not be afraid to experiment. And consistent views are more valuable than one video that goes viral, right? Because you don't want someone to watch it and share it and forget it. You want someone interacting with your channel all the time, sticking around your channel. So that comes from really figuring out what your audience wants. So that's my presentation. I think, do I have time for questions if there are any?
We have one quick question.
Yeah, sure.
A little bit behind.
No problem.
So yeah, first of all.
Oh, thank you.
Any questions?
All right, thanks guys.
Thank you.